Hey everybody, my name's Sean, and I am a fellow OCD sufferer, and I decided to start uploading videos to YouTube, a couple times a week, maybe 3 times, to help OCD sufferers learn more about the disorder and how to, do ERP for certain obsessions and how to really navigate this illness. Because honestly, there's not a lot of awareness about OCD, and it can be difficult to get treatment and find a reputable source to get over this illness. This illness is really debilitating. I am not a therapist at all by any means, so definitely consult your healthcare providers or your therapists over me. But I just thought I'd share my experience and share some suggestions about how to, handle these obsessions and these compulsions and all this stuff. So I am pulled over on the side of the road, not driving, so don't freak out if you see me in my car. But I'm on my way to a therapy appointment actually right now. And I figured I'd pull over and talk about a really non-publicized form of OCD theme called somatic sensory motor obsessions, or somatic syndrome, or any kind of really sensory motor hyper-awareness, body hyper-awareness, and sensory overload kind of OCD obsessions. I recently just had a bout with this, and it was one of the more confusing ones. I definitely, I've had almost every single theme, mainly relationship OCD. That my girlfriend and I, have been together for almost a year, but that one hit me really hard, especially at the start. But I've also had pedophilia OCD, not really harm OCD, but I've had a little bit of it. Contamination, hypochondria, definitely, especially earlier on in my life. I've had OCD since I was about 5, so I've been dealing with it for a while. I'm 20 now. But this one kind of, caught me at a left field. And basically, I'm going to go over the obsessions, the compulsions, the feared consequence, how to do ERP, and tips and tricks, that I've learned from my therapist and online. So let's get right into it. Basically, what this is it is a theme of OCD that you basically start to obsess about certain neutral stimuli. So breathing, blinking, swallowing, the sensation of your, feet, hands, just like that body part being there. Kind of hard to explain, but basically you're just aware of that its presence. Hearing, ringing in the ears, there's been people that have had, issues with being aware of their bladder, their bowels, not being sure if they're emptied all the way, either way, if you have to pee or take a shit. Let's see, I already mentioned breathing, heartbeats, any kind of tactile, so like when you touch things, being hyper aware of the feeling of that. And basically, in a nutshell, it's pretty much, it doesn't matter what it is, but it's any kind of neutral obsession that you really can't, there's like the only thing that you're afraid of is being aware of that thing forever. So what I see, that's the obsession, really. That's like the different types of obsessions. There's many more. I'm sure if you have a specific one, feel free to comment below. But that's kind of the gist of it, is like it's just the awareness of some kind of neutral bodily sensation or feeling. And the fear consequence almost always is that you're going to be aware of it forever, and it's going to impede with your daily functioning in life, and that you're not going to be able to get out of your head. It's not so much that you're aware of it that's causing the anxiety. It's the fact that you are threatened that you're going to be aware of it forever. And that can be really anxiety provoking, because nobody wants to be aware of their breathing forever. Nobody wants to be aware of their hearing, their blinking, their swallowing. It's very distressing to think that you'll never have a life free of being aware of these things, because it's a big thing to be aware of, and it's going to make it hard to focus on things because you're so focused on your breathing, etc. You may get urges to breathe deeper. You may get urges to swallow when you don't really need to. It's a very, very annoying and troublesome form of OCD, because at least with the thoughts, for the most part, you can differentiate, like, oh, this is an intrusive thought, and it's very straightforward to do ERP on that. Allow it, remain uncertain. But this is not so clear. It's, you're always with your body, you're always breathing, you're always blinking, so the exposure is kind of constant, and it can really be a debilitating cycle if you don't jump on it quick with ERP and acceptance and whatnot. So that's kind of the obsession and the feared consequence there. And like I said, it can be really confusing to navigate, so that's why I'm making this video. So really the treatment for this is a combination of ERP and, I want to say, ACT, or acceptance, acceptance commitment therapy. The portion of that helped me with this is acceptance. I personally really am a fan of ERP more than anything. It's much more straightforward. It's proven to work. Acceptance can actually turn into a compulsion. Mindfulness can turn into a compulsion because it'll cause you to avoid certain thoughts and feelings. When you think you're really just allowing them, you're actually trying to run from them by using acceptance as kind of like a compulsion. So ERP is kind of what I recommend more than anything, because that's actually how you're supposed to treat OCD mainly. But the way you do it for this kind of obsession or this theme is essentially, you're going to get this thought, will this ever go away? So let's take breathing OCD as an example, or the subset of this obsession that's, has to do with breathing. Your feared outcome is that, oh my gosh, I'm always going to have to be aware of this. I'm always going to have to manually breathe. I'm never going to have a minute of my life where I'm not breathing or not manually breathing. I'm always going to be aware of this. It's going to interfere with my relationships, my work, all that shit that your brain's going to throw at you, basically. The ERP example would be just like any other intrusive thought, because that is an intrusive thought. It's remain uncertain. So I'm not sure, maybe not. It's going to cause a lot of anxiety because it's a big thing to deal with, but you gotta really be uncertain. You have to not react with fear. You have to not research this. You have to not ask other people for reassurance. You have to not remind yourself, oh, I'll be fine. You gotta say, maybe I will, maybe I won't. No, I definitely won't be. There will never be a moment in my life where I'm not aware. It's going to be horrible. It's going to drive me crazy. And, I'm never going to get over this. You kind of have to agree with the thoughts, or at least remain uncertain and say maybe, maybe not. You cannot figure this out. You're going to come up with a solution, and it's going to throw another what if at you, and you're going to be back in the hole again. And it's just going to get worse and worse, just like any other theme. So you really have to practice with the intrusive thought side of things. Being uncertain or agreeing with the thoughts that you're terrified of. It's just classic ERP, am I a pedophile? Maybe, maybe not, or I am. I love kids, they're attractive. Obviously I don't think that, disclaimer, but this is about OCD. So that's kind of what you got to do with the thought portion of it. And that goes hand in hand with the second part of it, which is accepting the awareness of this bodily sensation. So let's take another example, blinking OCD. Catch myself aware of my blinking. You have to practice living your life while being aware of it. So you don't want to try to distract yourself from the blinking. You almost want to actually focus more on the blinking and try to force yourself to be aware of blinking, even though you don't want to. It's going to cause your anxiety to go up, but it's a combination of being aware of the blinking and voluntarily being okay with it. And on top of that, accepting any intrusive thoughts that come up and, agreeing with them, remaining uncertain. It's a combination of those things. And even if it's going to feel horrible. It's going to feel like it's never going to end. But you have to stick through it. There's no way around it besides going through it. And it sucks. And I hate OCD. I don't wish it upon anybody. But it is the cards we're dealt. And we have to do what we need to do to live our lives. And you will see through this method that, eventually your brain will stop reminding you that you're aware of these things, because it's going to be like, oh, he's not reacting with fear. He's, just allowing it to be there, so it's not threatening. You're not running from it. You're not seeking reassurance. You're not, you're just basically not doing any compulsions, really. And your brain sees compulsions as you're in danger. If you stop doing that, it will stop throwing that thought at you. Because honestly, let's be real, the problem isn't the fact that you're aware of it. The problem is that you are worried that you're never going to not be aware of it. That's the real fear there. That's why it's important to remain uncertain, because your brain's going to keep throwing that thought at you over and over again until you do this for a length of time. It's not going to be instant. It's going to hit you every 10 seconds, and eventually it'll hit you every minute. And then every hour, you'll start getting reminded of it. Then it'll be every half day, every day, once every couple days, every week, every month, etc. And then eventually you'll completely, forget about it. It'll come back once in a while. Maybe you'll have little lapses where it'll come back for a couple days, a week. But honestly, that's how OCD is. It's just the same as any other obsession. It's just the fact that it's a little more confusing and a little less talked about. Actually, a lot less talked about. But that's really the gist of it, is you have to practice ERP and being uncertain with the outcome of this, because even if it's terrifying, there's no way around it besides through it. Other than that, definitely talk to your therapist about it. I'm not a therapist. I just know what I know. You know, it sucks having this disease, and it's definitely emotionally challenging, but you have to learn how to live with it, or else it's going to take you down. You know, I've been in some dark spots with this where you lose hope, and it's important to keep pushing on even if it feels like you can't. You know, just doing something small that day and practicing ERP is just one step at a time is going to get you out of that hole. And you know, that's just kind of the gist of it. You know, you can't really get around it. So if you, I know how it is with OCD. When you watch videos, you kind of want to find the, you know, your specific obsession, your specific, you want me to say the thing that you want to hear. You know, if I skipped over anything, feel free to leave a comment. I'd love to address it in the comment section. But other than that, you know, it's really not much more complicated than any other form of OCD. It's just that it's not as straightforward. So yeah, feel free to leave any comments about your experience with this, any suggestions that anything I've missed, any input, anything in the comments. I want to, you know, raise awareness about OCD in general, but especially this theme, because it's a lot trickier than the other ones. But, you know, other than that, I will, you know, be uploading videos frequently throughout the, you know, indefinitely about OCD and my journey, and, you know, tips and tricks and whatnot, and different themes and obsessions. So I hope you guys have a good day. Good luck with all of this. It's not easy, but, you know, you will get to the point where it doesn't bother you anymore. So anyway, thanks for listening. You know, I appreciate a subscribe, hit the bell notification, you know, anything that'll, you know, help raise awareness about this disorder and this theme would help out. So anyway, guys, have a good day. Best of luck. I'm out.